So let's talk trail cameras. A few years back, you guys that follow the channel probably caught on that I was doing a little research and trying to find the best trail camera out there. Having trail cameras, using them during the fall is one thing. Having a trail camera that your business depends on for B-roll and a lot of intel training purposes and being successful in the field for not only myself but my clients, it's pretty important. So I was on a mission to find a camera that worked. Now, over that time, I weeded out a few cell cams, and I weeded a company in, I should say. I can say. The Meyer Trail Cameras, I can honestly tell you that they were a saving grace at that point. They offer what I believe is probably the best SD card for a regular trail camera. First of all, I believe they offer the best camera out there for the money. Now, I've owned just about all of them, and there's a few out there, the more expensive ones, I guess I can say that I haven't. But I've had a lot of clients with just about every camera around the country, and what they haven't had, I have. So a lot of years of trying to put that together and weed the ones out, and something that I could depend on. That's something that was good with batteries, but also durable. Something that you didn't have to replace every year. Now, if you get ants in them and stuff like that happens, well, then maybe it's not the camera's fault. But moisture getting behind the lenses, the motion sensors going out in them, I've had everything happen to them. So when we decided to try them, I purchased them myself. Obviously, I purchase all of them myself still to this day. I do get a discount, and I am on the pro staff now with Meyer, but I'm still purchasing them, so they're not free. I can honestly tell you at this point, if I did not get that discount, I would still be buying them. So now having a trail camera that you can trust is a huge deal, especially, like I said, when you're relying on them. I run my cameras only about 2 or 3 months of the year. They don't have them running, and so it's an investment, a long-term investment, just for the regular camera itself. Now, let's go into what that means after you find the camera of choice that you can really depend on, that is efficient, and when you go to the stand to collect those cards during the crucial time of the year, that information is going to be there. Where does that get us during the season? So if you're cruising around social media the next time, videos of folks pulling cards and looking at their footage outside of season and internal season, one thing that I picked up on years ago is there's a lot of thumbed through photos, if you will. And to me, I've always looked at that just the opposite, as maybe a little trail camera geekish, I guess you could say. But there's so much of the information that is just thumbed through. You have your computer or you have your iPad like I have, and you just thumb through them. You're looking for the biggest and the best buck, and you're deleting as you go, and before you know it, you've got about 300 pictures, and maybe you've got about a dozen of them that you're talking to the buddies with. But what about the rest of them? And what about those pictures that you obviously saved? What do you get out of those? Is it just a picture? And this time of the year, I see this more so being the missing link than obviously outside of season. Outside of season, you're looking for whether it's over a mineral, or the cameras are taking pictures over a mineral, or it's a bait station, or you're supplemental feeding, or whatever the case is. You're getting a lot of just bulk intel, just getting a lot of bulk material. When your season starts, or just before the season starts, during the early season, it's a crucial time to really focus on what these are giving you. Now, With that said, the information is not we have to wait 30 days anymore, maybe to get those, or 2 weeks if you haven't hunted that stand or whatever the case is. A lot of that intel is sent directly to you now through cell cams. Well, the Meyer cell camera that we use, that they offer, the only one that they offer, is the X Vision, and it is the best camera, the best cell camera out there. Now, it's not the cheapest cell camera as far as per month. You have to have an AT&T plan. That's the only one it will work with, and it's $20 a month. So there's a downside to that. But this year, they've taken a $300 camera, and it's like $114 now. So they are more competitive in that market or at that price point. So that helps a lot. One thing to buy a $300 camera and then have to pay $20 a month to use it, and that'd be great if you only had one. But when you're like me, I have three, or you have per farm, and you've got 6, 9 cameras, what it adds up in a hurry. So yes, there are cheaper ones out there, but I don't believe there's more quality. It's that European fit and finish, if you will. If you have a question, you reach right out to them. I communicate with them through Instagram, and they're right there. They always answer. They're always checking in, and we're trading photos all the time. And it's a great company. So that's a huge part of it. But getting back to the in-season timeline, taking that information, taking that intel, and really digging in deep. Now, when I say dig in deep, I mean, not only the buck pictures. I seen a camera and some apps that you can load your footage to that'll sort them out for you. Or the camera doesn't take pictures of anything that doesn't have horns or antlers, or that is a huge devastation to me, because there's so much information that you need to gather off from that camera, not just the big beautiful buck picture. Now, if I've got 300, this morning I pulled a card, and it's one of the stands that I can pull the side by side, the Ranger right up here too, and pull it. Pulled up there, left the machine running, pulled the card out of it. There was 100 videos on it, so that's something we'll talk about. I run all my cameras on video, other than the ones that are on, like here in Kentucky, on my feeders, or even sometimes on the Mineral, where you're going to get a lot of volume of pictures. Then I run it as obviously as on photo mode, such as the cell cameras are all on photo mode too. But when you gain that information, the worst thing that you could do is have one of those cameras that claims that they don't, trigger unless it has antlers. Using an app that you load all this information into that weeds some stuff out. You want to be the one that weeds that out. So like today, I pulled that card. There was like 100 and some videos on there, and I sorted through each and every one of them. And I'll be honest with you, this is the reason. You have to know, going into that location, you have to know your access. Obviously, your access should already be created. Now, also with that said though, you're not only looking at your access points, or you're studying the time on there, that timestamp to see when the deer are moving through, but you should also be looking at taking that a step further. Where are they coming from along your transition, along your travel, that line of travel? Where are they coming from? Which way were they coming in? Was it 6:30 in the morning? Were they coming off the ag? They're going back past that 6:30. Well, it's early season, so what's that tell you? Different video kind of connects to this one, but why are you going to be in there when they're ahead of you in the morning? You're going to blow that stand out, or you're going to run dead head into them trying to get into the stand. Not a good situation. So maybe you elect to push that sit off in that stand a little further, or don't hunt it in the mornings. Only hunt it in the evenings. If you're getting a bunch of that, that 6:30, 7 o'clock time, early season, that is when you want to take advantage of that location, because of the intel that you're gathering off that. When you should be in there. The first thing it should tell you is early season, limit those AM sits to begin with. I don't go in. I'll tell you that, even though we start here in September, you know, the September 4th opener that we had here in Kentucky this year, I'm not planning on being in the stand in the morning until maybe into October. You'll see as I have the access up to the camera or the stand, and then I have a trail out to the camera, a clean trail out to the camera as well. So in the evening set, what I'll do is, because you're further away from bedding at that point, you're closer to feeding, you should have enough leeway to get to the stand, walk out, grab the card, pull the card from that, not crossing the line of travel, you know, pull the card, return to the stand and get up in the stand and have that. So you're not doing it after dark, you're not bumping deer off that are, you know, that you're trying to, because you want to be able to, after dark, slide down the backside of that tree, hit that access or that exit, and be out unscathed. Now, what I see a lot of is folks going in the mornings before they get in their stand, first of all, into a stand early season that should be a PM stand to begin with, but going to the stand, going out, pulling the card, it's that more, you know, it's that 25 yard more of pressure. It's the it's the flashlight that's out there with you at the camera. It's the noise at the camera lock and the you know, the camera door, and it's blowing AM hunts. So this piece of device right here is probably the best thing in years, obviously, that hit the industry. But when you're gathering that information, so a couple things here. When you're gathering the information, I really encourage you to go the extra mile to categorize them. I've got on my iPad, I plug it in. Every stand has its own file. I've got a trail in 2020 main file, 2021 main file, and all the stands are loaded, labeled individually under that, and they all get saved. And the most important thing that I can teach you on this whole you know, cell cams, trail cameras, anything, is to study the information, look deeper than just the picture. And the biggest, like I said, the biggest teaching point of this whole deal is something that a lot of folks don't ever do. So you should have on your phone, separate video here as well, but you should have on your phone a very good weather app that everybody's using. You know, it's not a secret. We're all, you know, this time of the year, we're all weather nerds. You know, we're looking advanced. Now, I use that weather more in depth, just like I'm studying the pictures more in depth. Weather Underground is your best friend. Is what I started doing on Weather Underground is going in and looking at that historical weather. That historic weather is, to me, is a huge tool. And not a lot of folks around the country do that. I really recommend going, when you pull that card, getting the information. Like I said, you have the date, you have the time, you have what deer was there, obviously. What's the next step? The next step that I do is, after I sort through those and I look and I get comfortable on the dates, I'll have that picture. I immediately go to Weather Underground. I go, and I'll show you here how to find that. You go, so you click the three bars there on the side. It brings the drop down menu down to you. You click on historic weather and you go back to that date. You can see what time that he was there. You move the slide bar over to figure out what time it was, and you can see what wind it was. Well, if that wind was a wind that you could have hunted or got into the stand and been in the stand and hunted him, let's say on a PM, you know, during an afternoon when he was there during daylight, and if he's not during daylight, well, just hold off on the pressure a little bit. If he starts daylighting, check on that wind where those trail cameras are. He's always there on that same wind, so it's probably a wind where it's hitting him on the side of the face, where he's coming out of bedding, going to food in the early season, going out to feed. That is when it's go time. If he's done it 2 or 3, my information is, and this goes back to guiding, if he's made the mistake twice, you need to be there so you can capitalize on it on his third mistake. And that is usually that third time is usually when you can put an arrow in him. But if you pull the cards, and yes, he's there during daylight, but it's not a wind where you can hunt. if folks are doing this, where they get themselves in trouble is they just flip the light switch off in their brain and they go in and try to kill him because he's there during daylight. Well, guess what? You're gonna get nailed. It might not happen today. It might not happen tomorrow. You might get lucky, but you're going to get busted at some point along that path. Over years, you're going to get hit with that. I highly recommend that you don't push that envelope. Wait until he's daylighting at a time when the wind is right, and then go in and make a plan of attack to get in there. Make sure you're well ahead of him on that. You know, if it's 6:30, make sure you're in there at 3:30, and you're in there quiet, and you slide in that stand, and you're ready for the PM hunt and make it happen. But if you go back on Weather Underground, go into historic weather, and it's not a wind that comes up that you could have hunted. Yes, he was there during daylight. You've got the information, but do not push it and go in there until it's right. So now, you know, looking back, guys, this is intel that, or information collected that, you know, you can get. Like I said, I'm kind of a nerd about this stuff. There's no reason anymore to go in there and be crazy invasive and just take a chance anymore. Yes, there's a chance that maybe you will sit in that stand and you know, something will show up that you don't have on camera now, and you know, there's always that kind of, you know, a lot of guys don't like to use cameras because it takes the guesswork, you know, it takes the surprise out of it, right? Well, I don't like surprises. And when it comes to hunting, you know, if it's in the end of October or in November, and you know, you believe that the wind and your thermals are right, and even, you know, it's a great spot, and you just know one of these days something's going to happen, then yes, I recommend, you know, going in and hunting that location if you really truly believe in that stand. Even if you don't have a shooter on the camera, then go in there and sit, because you never know during that time of the year what's going to show up. But that very, very seldom happens early season. So if you start that early season and you flip that light switch off in your brain and you ignore the picture, you ignore the information, you ignore Weather Underground, you ignore the historic winds, and it doesn't connect to that photo, you are asking for a long, drawn-out season. But there's more to just having a great camera and a big, beautiful buck picture. There's more intel that you need to get from these things. Go the extra mile and really dig deep this season.